Hi class, welcome to our final video recording of this term. This is still SAD, System Analysis and Design. I am Ted Witt, and here is your final recording to help you get through this last week. As a reminder, there is no seminar tonight. There are no graded discussion boards for this week. The last task that you have is to complete the course evaluation, which you should see now available, and I very much appreciate that you take the time to do it. And then finally, to complete the homework assignments, both Unit 9 and Unit 10 homework assignments, in addition to the submission of any and all late work. All are due on Sunday, October 29th at 11:59 p.m. I want to take a little bit of time and walk you through both of those components and give you some helpful hints on what's necessary to succeed for that. So I'm showing you the specific breakdown and the rubric for Unit 9, but I'm going to talk about each of the separate components. What I want to reiterate, there are a couple of key documents that might help you as you're gathering your information for that. Those are the SCR inbox 11, 12, and 13 components. The other main hint for this is full proposals are not necessary for any of these steps. General guidelines in separate sections that address all of the main points and topics are all that is necessary for this. Now let's look in a little bit more detail. There are several components. You've reached the final part of the installation phase, and there are a few things that you need to address. You'll need a testing plan that includes testing criteria for unit, integration, and system testing. This is the time to emphasize the importance of careful documentation. Who is doing what testing? How is it successful? Those types of things. Make sure that you have communications and messages draft that explain the installation process and guidelines for all that are concerned. So you'll want to consider all of the external entities for the various parts of TIMS that are connected to it. You'll also need to draft a data conversion plan and changeover method. So make sure you identify which of those methods that you're using for your installation. And then lastly, you'll want to make sure that you have a post-implementation review, which includes a fact-gathering methods, topics to cover, the timing of the review, and then who should perform it. While you're doing these testing plans, make sure that you consider all three types of testing: unit testing, integration testing, and system testing. Remember that the rubric is missing the commas. So there are three types of testing plans, and it's important to take care of those. A formal testing plan is not necessary, but a solid set of guidelines or an outline that addresses each of the points. And then don't forget about criteria and documentation. What you are testing, what the various phases of that are, how do you determine what success looks like, what's documented, and what needs to be changed as a result of it. Explain the installation process and guidelines for all concerned. Again, this is for TIMS. The formal process, a formal actual written structure is not needed, but a minimum outline and guidelines are for the installation process. Consider all concerned, what the communications are for the external entities involved in that for that installation process. The next steps are a data conversion plan and changeover method for TIMS. Make sure you identifying what method you are choosing for this changeover. There were 4 that were covered in class. There's more information for the book. You'll want to choose one of those and explain why. And then finally, make sure that you have some plan for a post-implementation review. Make sure that you look at your fact-finding methods, topics to cover in that post-implementation review, the timing of the review, who should perform it, and what that should look like. Each of these are really separate components. The rubric is a little bit fuzzy on the different breakdown of what goes where. So I just wanted to really outline it and spell it out here, that there really are 4 steps. Make sure that you address them all. You can have different sections for each of the steps for the Unit 9 assignment. You could do one larger plan and make it a little bit more formal, although that's not necessary. But at a minimum, you'll need an outline that covers the main ideas and the main steps for each of those areas and covers all those points. This may seem like quite a bit. It does cover quite a few topics, but I think it's a really good assignment that really covers those implementation details for installation of a major project. Now, Unit 10 is similar. Again, there's two main components. Each requires different sets of information. One on recommendations about an SCR help desk or service desk, and then including that. And then second is an IT security policy, which includes an outline for at least all 6 levels of corporate security detail. Again, both of these are due on Sunday, October 29th, and I want to break it down a little bit. Think about what is needed for the service desk. Think about what is needed for security policies for SCR and TIMS and those recommendations. Now, for the help desk or service desk, make sure that you identify each of the following 3 main objectives of why one creates this. So you want to make sure that you provide some reason to show people how to use the system more effectively, to provide answers or technical answers to technical questions. I'm having difficulties. How do I get in? How do I change my password? Those types of things. Very specific technical and operational questions that are fundamental to the system. And then lastly, you want to make sure that you're helping users to be more productive by teaching them how to meet their own information needs. So that could be some self-service functionality. That could be starting to create like a video dictionary or guidelines of things, frequently asked questions, those types of components. Think about the following topics that go into help desk or service tasks. What type of remote control software is needed? By that, those are the software to take over a user's computer to help provide that directly to them. Building a knowledge base. So all of these questions come in, you want to be able to capture them, tag them, make sure that your associates can get at them and that you can help to provide that information quickly to those users. Consider outsourcing. What might outsourcing look like? What would you want to do if you did want to go with an outsourcing option? You may choose not to, but you should at least address it in some way. And then again, think about how the help desk or service desk can help you with the maintenance tasks. If you cover all of those things, you'll have the help desk or service desk covered in fantastic detail. The final step is the security policy. Again, this does not need to be a 30, 45-page security policy, but should have an outline that covers the 6 main issues, the 6 main areas for security, again for TIMS. So these should be some broad recommendations that at least address the following 6 areas: physical security issues, network security issues, application security issues, file security issues, user security issues, and then procedural security issues. Again, specific policies are not necessary, but a rough outline that gives you an idea of what would go into this would be very valuable. You are able to use outside resources for these. If you do reference other things, please make sure that you provide the documentation and citations for that research. I don't want you to submit somebody else's security policy, for example. That would still be considered plagiarism. Think about adapting anything that you find specifically to the TIMS project and the SCR project. Finally, if you have any additional questions, how do you get a hold of me? The Unit 10 discussion board, while not graded, is still available this week for questions, and I will respond to them. You can also reach me by email or telephone or text message, area code 720-234-5992. Email is the preferred method of communication, but if you want a faster response, texting me is a great route to do that. Skype is another method of contacting me, and there are several others, but these are the preferred points if you have any questions this week. Finally, I just want to wrap up and conclude and say thank you all for a wonderful term. We've covered a ton of material in system analysis and design, and I've been thoroughly impressed at each of your individual performances and how we've come together as a class throughout this term. I found the discussions, well, the questions themselves are not to the level of discussions that I personally like. The conversations that we've had, some of the things that we've explored, I think have been really outstanding in that way. I've seen some fantastic charts and some great modeling that we've done as we've mapped our requirements. I've seen some fantastic diagrams as we've worked through this course. I genuinely want you to succeed. I've been very honored to have been your instructor this term, and I wish you the best of luck in this term, your future studies, and your IT careers. Have a great day.